Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Final mock draft before the actual draft. You already know, like this.
Final
We're basically scamming you guys because we're gonna predict everything here. I'm sorry, man. You guys, if you really want to get back at us, go subscribe and like. That really hurts us.
Yeah. Like honestly, if you really just want to dig into us, then
Because we're gonna spoil everything that's gonna happen in the draft here. First pick here, it's gonna be Cam Ward. I heard the GM or the coach say the entire franchise, even the assistant water boy, has came to a consensus that they're staying at the number one pick. And I just feel like that's because they have their eyes on their future quarterback, and that's going to be Cameron Ward.
All right, pick number two. You know what I'm saying? There's talks about Abdul Carter here, but I think the smart choice here is Travis Hunter because I think he's the best player in the draft, and wide receiver cornerback is deep need for the Browns.
Mhm. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I mean, pick three here. I've actually heard some talks of Giants moving back, but I don't think that matters regardless. I think you go ahead and just get a really good player at this position, someone who is top three player in this class. So you go ahead and grab Abdul Carter.
I've been hearing a lot of Janty talk out here on the Patriots, but I don't see it. They didn't really address the O line as much as they needed to. I feel like you got to protect your quarterback in the future. I feel like they maybe choose to go with the safer route and go on Membu, who's probably higher floor type player, and he can play tackle. He has little arms to do it. He did at a high level. I feel like you got to protect Drake May over getting a superstar running back, even as good as Genty's gonna be. If your quarterback dies, then Genty's gonna be out there running into a box of 8 people just like he did at Boise.
All right, pick number
But
five.
against actual NFL talent, not no. Well, D1 player is still nice, but it's different.
Five. You take. I think it's a perfect fit here. You take the D tackle that can stop the run and help you get pass rush. You take the complete player, Mason Graham. I think it's a really good fit for the Jaguars.
Sure. Um, you know, I think honestly this is something that uh, I've been liking a lot more recently, and just been seeing a lot of similar mock drafts, and it just makes sense from one of the worst rushing attacks in the league. And there's someone who they just need weapons. They need something that's going to give a boost. Obviously, the defense isn't good, but you know, you go ahead and draft players who are going to give your franchise a real boost and can start and produce from day one. I think Ashton Genty is that player for the Raiders.
Going on to the Jets here, I feel like their O line is solid. Where you don't have to focus too much on it in the first round. I feel like I would go T Mac here if I'm the Jets. Surround Justin Fields with as many weapons as possible. Worst case scenario, Justin Fields doesn't work out. You're terrible. You go into next year knowing that with two great receivers for the rookie quarterback that comes in.
All right, Panthers. You definitely want to address this defense, and why not do it with the very versatile Shalon Walker? Because he can play anywhere. You know what I'm saying? Well, not anywhere, but in his skill set, he can play in the middle of the field as a linebacker. He can rush the passer. It's a really good player.
Yeah. Going off that, I mean, the Saints obviously have had a lot of issues, but they're also not, a completely incompetent team. Like they've shown flashes, and I think that, uh, Kellen Moore is going to come in here, or it was Kellen Moore that got hired there, right?
Yeah.
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 Kellen Moore come in. He's worked a lot, worked in a lot of places, and I think honestly, you just kind of have to build teams when you're trying to restart from the ground up. And I think so that starts with the trenches. And I think honestly, you know, uh, well, there's both two sides of the trenches, but honestly, one of the more freaky players in this draft, and someone who just has that insane frame, that great size, that ability to uh, really change the game and really make an impact as a rusher. And I think that's going to be Mikael Williams for the Saints here.
Thought you about to take my pick.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm here. for Chicago. Um, if this wasn't the final mock draft, I'd have to have a little fun. Maybe go with Trayvon Henderson here. But I feel like this being the last mock draft and seeing Will Campbell still being here, I feel like Chicago really has no, like, they can't choose anything else. That O line was atrocious last year, and you completely fill it out by drafting Will Campbell.
Yep, fill the last hole, the last question mark being that other tackle over there. So
Yeah,
I
and
think that's
like,
great.
yeah,
And I want to see him go to a team where he has an opportunity to actually play tackle. Like everyone's talking about him playing guard, moving in because of metrics. But I mean, if you're a stud, you're a stud. Like I don't really care about all the metrics and whatnot. You know, it's nice, but if you've proven that you can play on the outside, I see no reason why they should doubt him for that ability.
And he's played great competition.
Yep.
All right, so look, 49ers. I would love Will Johnson here for them with Javarius Ward leaving, but I don't know if he goes this high just due to his injuries. And Jaheir Barron doesn't fit the outside corner type, so I think they take Walter Nolan here, a really high potential D lineman.
Cowboys. Obviously, this is probably one of the years. It's definitely more of a down year, kind of not exactly rebuilding, but they play in a division with a lot of, big names, big talent. Even the Giants might be getting, significantly better this year. So they're just kind of starting to get pieces in place and continue to build up that roster. So I think they go ahead and get, someone who is a great addition regardless, just a great draft position, but also help them in something that's mostly a position of need. I'd say, they only really have one guy and he's great, but, he can't do it alone. So I think they go ahead and take Matthew Golden here and kind of beef up that wide receiver room. Get Dak some more targets. He had an MVP caliber season a few seasons ago. It's definitely possible to recreate. They just got to put it in place for him.
Coming here, I think I would lean towards corner with the Jalen Ramsey news. I feel like if Will Johnson's here, I feel like they're going to draft them. Hope they can be a Jalen Ramsey replacement in upcoming years. I mean, great technique. He's a technician. He's like, yes, he's had these injury woes, but as long as you can keep him healthy, I feel like he's going to be at least bare minimum a solid corner with high potential to be a better corner in this league.
He's great.
Yes, sir.
All right, the Colts. Not a hard pick here. If D. Tyler Warren's here, you take him. It's just position of need. Helps Anthony Richardson out. He's just really talented player as well.
Yeah, so moving on, we've got the Falcons here. Falcons, it's a team that it seems like they're right on the edge there. Like they're so close to, just getting what they, doing what they need to do, and really making that push and turning into a playoff team. But obviously, they still need those extra things. I think, one of those things I think is definitely at cornerback, and they've had some struggles and had to rotate guys in and out. Haven't really found like obviously they have pretty good secondary on paper, but they still need something to beef that up. So I think they go ahead and get Jahadae Barron here, someone who's been proven, won the nation's best DB this year. He's someone who's interviewed great. Like he's going to be a great presence in the locker room, and obviously he's still going to be able to get mentored by good players like AJ Terrell. So I think he's a good fit here.
I also feel like he kind of subsided those athleticism woes with this combine. I feel like he had an amazing combine. They'll make up for that lack of size.
Yeah.
Here coming on Colts, I feel like the Colts, they're gonna try to aim for the fences here, and maybe try to go with the more high potential player here, Shamar Stewart. Maybe didn't have. I mean, my fault. The Cardinals. Maybe he didn't have the greatest stat wise season, but I mean, if you look at the tape, he disrupts plays. He had an amazing pressure rate. Had one of the best combines for an edge. This is the Colts swinging for the fence with Shamar Stewart, as they already picked up another edge during free agency that they know will be consistent. This is their shot at getting someone that can be generational.
Yeah, most definitely. And I mean, that Texas A&M D line had three NFL guys. So honestly, I think, and none of them really had amazing results. I think it's something more scheme wise that they have to work out there over at A&M. But I think, yeah, Turner Stewart is an amazing player.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, what I'm saying? The Bengals, this defense needs help. And honestly, I think they pick Imawari here just because you get a very versatile player. He can really play any position, being honest,
67 is crazy.
except in the trenches. But, he can really play anything out there on the defense. This is a guy I would want on my defense and on my roster.
Yeah. Seahawks here, they have a few positions of need, but honestly, I think especially after getting a new quarterback in Sam Darnold and someone who has proven that he needs or he's like someone who needs protection. Obviously he had to perform under pressure in Minnesota, and sometimes he would show out, but other times he would look really really rough out there. So I think they just go ahead and get someone who kind of is a surefire plug and play, and honestly, someone who has had a lot of draft drop and less hype because of the fact that he was injured. But I think he is easily a top 5 O lineman overall in this class, and so I totally think he deserves to go here, and that's Josh Simmons.
Bucks here. If I was a Bucks fan, I would be so excited. You're getting a top 5 player in this draft class at a position in need at pick 19. This is, I think, probably one of my favorite players of this draft class, if not my favorite defensive player in this entire draft class, not named Abdul Carter, as he has elite size for a linebacker. Amazing combine he had. He can also come off the ball and rush the passer if you want him to. He was a 5-star Bama. Came to go do that until he converted to linebacker. And the only problem with Jaheed Campbell is maybe his processing of plays is a little slow, but he's going to be able to learn next to one of the best linebackers in the NFL for the past decade. Developing him will be one of the better things. I feel like he's one of these safer players that also has an amazingly high ceiling. I feel like this is probably going to be like a steal of the draft if he's there at 19.
All right, for the 2025 Super Bowl champions, it's clear they want to address the offense and really help out future Gold Bo Nix out. And I think they do that with Mario Hampton with a run game almost being non-existent. And I think running backs position they want to address and really a good run game will really help out that young quarterback.
Yes, sir. I mean, the Steelers are licking their chops at this pick. Obviously they have they have
G Campbell better
at QB, and they need answers. So you take someone who had top 3 hype at one point and is definitely down at pick 21, definitely going to be great value in Shadur Sanders. So I think he's definitely someone that they can go in. I do feel that Pittsburgh is a pretty QB friendly scheme. They don't ask their QBs to do very much, and they're also behind a very good O-line, and he's got some great weapons. So I think it's a great situation for, new quarterback to be walking into.
You did it, man.
Chargers here. I feel like the pick is going to be pretty obvious here. Coastal Loveland here. Reunite him with his previous head coach at Michigan. Had some injury woes. Still a great receiving threat down the field. Maybe not in line tight end, but we saw what Brock Bowers did last year, and he's not really the best inline tight end either. I mean, I'm not saying Coastal Loveland's gonna be Brock Bowers, but I feel like this is just, if it's a Michigan connection here, I feel like it's gonna be very hard for Jim Harbaugh to pass on him.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
All right, so the Packers. What edges are left? Mike Green. James Pierce. Okay. All right. Good. No, I could see edge here, but I like Luther Burden here. Helping out Jordan Love, giving him a weapon because like his receivers were really inconsistent last year, and Luther Burden provides big play threat, and that's the kind of throws Jordan Love likes to make, and hopefully like lowers those turnovers having a receiver like that on your team.
I think that's like maybe one of the only teams I'd rather see get an Emeka Buga than a Luther Burden. Just more reliable.
Vikings,
or safer.
I really do like the Vikings. I think they're a very well-rounded team, and I think, they have great minds over in their coaching staff with Kevin O'Connell and their defensive coordinator, who I can't think of his name right now, but, and I think they do well with the personnel they have, but, I think they go ahead and take someone that has a really high floor, honestly, someone who's just a really good, technician with his craft, and is really at a position of need for them, out of all the positions they had last year, their secondary was incredibly leaky, and that was mostly coming off those, edge positions. So I actually really like them going and taking Trey Amos here out of Ole Miss. I think he's a really good press man corner, and he's someone who can really fit into that Minnesota I mean, I feel like most people can fit into that Minnesota defense. They'll find a play for you, but I just think he's a player that can pop and play real quick.
I really like that pick. I feel like the only reason he didn't play at Bama was because he was behind two NFL players, Kool-Aid McKinstry, and the other Bama corner that went in the first.
Nice. That guy's nice.
Like Terrion Arnold, there we go. Like he was playing behind two of the best corners in the nation at that time, college-wise. That's why I didn't play at Bama. So I feel like that's wouldn't be a knock against him. Here at the Texans, I feel like Kelvin Banks has slid this far. I feel like you take him. You can't leave Justin Fields out there to die. You probably want to keep him alive so he can keep throwing the ball. I feel like we really saw what impact that did. And also, it's like also for the run game. You don't want to go get Joe Mixon and go make him go back to the Bengals having terrible O-line day games. So I feel like if Kelvin Banks is there, I feel like the Texans will take him.
Yeah, good pick.
Well, honestly here, I do like, even though it's not like greatest position of need, I do like a Malachi Starks here because he can play in the slot, and I mean their safeties aren't like unbelievable that like this wouldn't be an upgrade. So I just like the pick here, especially at pick 26. You just get talent.
Someone who's a team, very well rounded. Obviously, they're right there, and it's also very obvious what their strategy is, and it's to pound the ground and pound it hard. They have all the tools for that in Lamar Jackson, Derrick Henry. But honestly, I think this is just a really good scheme fit, as well as someone who is a road grader, someone who's gonna chew guys up and spit them out in the run game, and I think that's exactly what Baltimore looks for and at position of need them. So I think Tyler Booker is actually the pick here for the Ravens.
Here we have the Lions, which I am kind of torn about because I did maybe. I mean, I heard that JMO might be getting traded here, shipped here. And maybe this was another mock draft. I would like to maybe go something different here. Maybe go and Malik Ayomader from Stanford. I feel like one of the more underrated receivers from his class. But I feel like Mike Green is just there staring you in the face. And I feel like you had to take him there. He had the best production season from any of these edges in this draft class. Elite bend. He proved at the Senior Bowl that he can play with anybody. It wasn't just easy competition. I feel like you can go back and watch the Ohio State tape he had. He had a good game there. I feel like he proved that he can play with anybody. It wasn't just playing at Marshall that made him good.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the Commanders. They do need an edge. They need pass rush, but I'm pretty sure they just recently lost Jonathan Allen, right?
Yeah, but didn't they sign somebody? A D tackle.
Doesn't matter.
I can't remember, man. But if they don't have one, I would really like Kenneth Grant here because he's just great in the run.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so just say like if they didn't, I think Kenneth
I'm
Grant's
like
the pick here.
50. I'm like 90% sure they did. I'm pretty sure they signed Javon Hargrave.
They did? Okay. All right, so we'll take an edge here. I think at 29, they take Pierce. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, Pierce is getting drafted.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's go!
They take Pierce because, I mean, there's a lot of potential, and he could really wreck. He could really wreck with his pass rush, and like that just gets, what's his name, Jaden Daniels the ball back, and that's what you want.
Yep. I would say once again, I do like.
It was Javon Kinlaw. Yeah, they did sign somebody. I knew they signed somebody. Yeah.
It was Kinlaw. Yeah.
You know, towards the end of the draft here, you know, you're still looking at some really good prospects, but maybe things that are more of a project, like not someone you expect to be a day one starter, but definitely has that potential. And I think no one fits that mold better than Maxwell Hairston here for the Bills. You know, blazing fast speed, and he's a lanky corner that's shown lots of skill on the ball. So I think that he definitely has the potential to go in there and be a game changer. But at the same time, they don't need him to be. And that's kind of the prospects that you get towards the end of the first round here.
I would really like to go Gray Zabel here. Everything about him screams a Chief to me. But I would hate this pick so much if the Chiefs actually made it, picking up Kenneth Grant. I feel like that D-line would actually have some good players now, and that D-line would actually be scary, as now Chris Jones can just do whatever he wants and just pass rush freedom because you have Kenneth Grant in there eating the running game.
All right, so the Eagles, they're gonna take best player available, and Benjamin Morrison. I like Benjamin Morrison. Shamar Redwall, I could see that, but they drafted corner last year. I think they take the Boston College edge. I don't know how to say his name.
Donovan Orozaku.
He hasn't been going in the first that much, and our recent mock draft said, you'll see I said something similar in some lost footage, but that's a YouTube mystery.
Yeah.
So
top 5 biggest YouTube
that guy, show me the love, get him in the first round.
It's because Jaheed Campbell has too much ore. He broke my computer twice.
All YouTube mysteries. Right. Someone can make a video about that if they want to.
All right, this is the final mock draft here. This is not including trades because we're broke. Please subscribe. We need money.
If you've enjoyed this series, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and stay bingos for life.
We'll definitely come out with draft grades too. So if your team, if you subscribe and comment, I subscribe. My favorite team is the whatever. We'll give you an A+ pick. A+ grade.
Yeah. No, we being real. We're gonna tell you
they had an A+ grade. They had it.
And if you should be worried or if you should be excited.
Look, if you just draft Jaheed Campbell, your life as a fan will turn around. He'll lead you to a dynasty. Actually,
As,
well,
as
depends.
linebackers tend to do.
All right, well, this is the final mock draft. Here we go. Seeing the rest of his picks. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for draft grades. Thank you for watching.
Yes, sir.